Members, we have one more speech, and it is my honor to turn it over to my friend, Dr. Senator Scott Jensen.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, colleagues. And everybody in this room, to me, is a colleague because you've all served as mentors. 4 times in my life, I have been able to walk into a hallowed place that touched my heart. The first time was walking down the corridors in dental school, preparing for my first day of dissection of cadavers. The second time was walking into the chapel at the seminary after I had found that dental school wasn't suited for my tastes. The third time was when I walked into Bethesda Hospital a couple blocks north to begin my 3-year residency and realized that I would spend 75 hours a week for the next 3 years there. But the last time was when I walked into the Capitol and was sworn in approximately 50 years in one day after my father had been sworn in and sat, I think, in the seat where Senator Nelson is sitting right now. Each time I thought that, wow, this place is remarkable. And each time I was wrong, because each time what was really remarkable was the people. It's the people that shaped me. It had very little to do with me. It had everything to do with you. And I can honestly say, when I look into the eyes of each one of you, whether you're at the front dais, or whether you're a colleague, whether you're a staff person, or whomever, you have touched me and you taught me, because I came in silly and stupid, and at some level, I'm going to leave the same way. Relationship-wise is where it's at. I know a guy who wrote a book called Relationship Matters. If I could hold up one shining relationship from my time in the Senate here, it would probably be Tom Bach and Paul Gazelka, as I had a chance to watch the two of them work together, hammer out their differences, and share the news with the people they worked with. So thank you to those two people. But perhaps most importantly, the relationship that really touched my heart throughout these last 4 years was a girl I married 42 years ago on Wednesday. Because with each night I got home at 10 or 11 at night, she was there ready to process, ready to boost me up. And if it seemed like I was maybe a little too full of myself, she would take me down a couple of pegs and remind me that I'd said this and it would have been better if I'd used this word and I maybe could have been kinder, so don't get too full of myself. But it's in the relationship that the transformation occurs, and somewhere along the line you realize that this is an incredibly special privilege. And so again, I look at each one of you and I say thank you. I think of the constituents that come into my office and they share their heart, their soul, their needs. I think of some of the most unlikely candidates that would leave after a 5 or a 20-minute visit, and they would have changed me. So I so much appreciate that. I want to say thank you to all of you colleagues, to all of the support people. I want to say thank you to Sven and Marilyn. I think of the first days I came here. I want to say thank you to the peacekeepers that would protect and always greet us everywhere, especially that little snack shop down the hallway. Those people are just such good people. And I think I'm going to bring my comments to a close now, because I figured out how many minutes you get per year of service from Senator Cohen, and I don't get nearly as much time. But I would say this: when I left my residency at Bethesda in 1984, one of my greatest disappointments was the fact that there were so many fractured relationships, because at the time I left, the nurses in St. Paul were on strike. And we as residents weren't allowed to go and thank them for their influence on us. We weren't allowed to go out there and, quote, cross a picket line. So I left 3 years of being taught how to be a doctor without being able to say thank you. Today it's harder to say thank you, because I think of all the work that we've invested with one another to build relationships over the last 4 years, and it feels fractured, and that makes me sad. So I'd like to close with just a comment as to where are we now. These were comments that were born out of chaos and conflict, fear and despair. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom. It was the age of foolishness. It was the epoch of belief. It was the epoch of incredulity. It was the season of light. It was the season of darkness. It was the spring of hope. It was the winter of despair. We had everything before us. We had nothing before us. We were all going direct to heaven. We were all going direct the other way. In short, the period was so far like the present period that some of its noisiest authorities insisted on its being received for good or for evil in the superlative degree of comparison only. The concept for those words came to life the same year Minnesota did, 1858. And when Charles Dickens wrote those words, how could he ever have known what the situation would look like today? I know that the people that will stay here and the new people that will come will once again build relationships, and in so doing, you'll build bridges and you'll get us through this. Socrates said some 2,500 years ago, remember that there is nothing stable in human affairs. Therefore, avoid undue elation in prosperity or undue depression in adversity. Thank you, colleagues.
Senator Jensen, when you're done greeting folks, please make your way up front here. It's my honor to present Senator Jensen this plaque, which states Scott Jensen, 2017 to 2020, in recognition of your dedication and service to the people of the state of Minnesota through your accomplishments in the state Senate. Senator Jensen. Here, Scott.